Hi and welcome to the second video on the series where we are comparing the vector databases out there. In today's video, we are going to compare the major search engines, who are Elasticsearch, OpenSearch, and then Solr. The common thing between these three major search engines is that they use Lucene behind the scenes, but they also happen to support the vector search. So without further ado, let's go ahead and discover these three solutions. Before going into the technical details, have you ever tried to compare the operating systems out there, namely Linux, Windows, and macOS? It's a hard comparison, right? Because on one hand, you have an open source system, which is Linux, that is backed by a huge community who would do anything to back their system. Then you have also the community of macOS who would proclaim that, or would say that the product is the best product out there, and then their macOS suits exactly their needs. And then on the other side, you have the Windows users who would be somewhere in the between. So it's a hard comparison, but there is something here that I wanted to point out, which is that one system here is free and open source and will always be. Then you have another system that is created for exactly one product, which is Mac, and you cannot use it elsewhere. And then you have on the other side, you have a product that you can use anywhere, but it's not free, which is Windows. So I'm going to let you tell me who is who in terms of vector databases by the end of this presentation. For now, let's talk about the metrics we are going to use for our comparison. The first metric we are going to use in order to compare the vector databases is the position in the market. And here we are going to talk about the companies that are backing the products, their position in the market, and how they compete with each other. Then we're gonna compare the easiness of proof of concept, or the easiness to spin up a cluster or a serverless cluster so that you can create and start your proof of concept. Then we're gonna go about scalability and then what's around the product, which means the features that are around the product. Then we're gonna go about an important factor of comparison, which is the pricing, and how the prices of AWS compare with, for example, the prices of Elastic. And then we're going to talk about other products ready for production. So in order not to make this video too long, I'm going to talk about the first two sections in the first part, and then there is going to be a second part where I'm going to go and talk about the remaining parts. So for the first metric, we are going to talk about who can afford to lose. So in order to do this, I have prepared kind of a matrix with some features that I deemed essential to do the comparison. The first one is the open source. So it is worth mentioning that there was a bit of a story between Elastic and AWS, or Elasticsearch and OpenSearch. So Elasticsearch was created as an open source product, and they kept being so up until 2021, where AWS started using the product as, or even before, we started using the product as a cloud offering. So Elastic did not like this. So I think there was a legal battle between them and AWS, and then they stopped making providing Elasticsearch as an open source product. So AWS, what they did basically is they forked the last version that was OpenSearch, which is the version 7.10, and then they continued developing the product under another name, which was OpenSearch. Basically, this was settled somewhere in the years, and then Elasticsearch or basically Elastic and AWS became friends again, and Elasticsearch became open source again the last year. And as of today, all the products are open source. The second metric here is the community. So it goes without saying that if you go ahead and ask a question about a search engine or anything that has to do with indexing or charts, etc., the first result they would get out there is for Elasticsearch. And this is because Elastic has done a great job in their marketing strategy and their events planning or meetup, etc. So today they have a huge community out there that likes the products and continues assisting to their events. The community of OpenSearch is small compared to Elasticsearch, but it's growing today, namely because there are a lot of people who are now afraid of the changing of the license or or open source in Elasticsearch. So the community is getting bigger, basically, from the people who are migrating from other solutions. For Solr is a great product, but the community is shrinking, namely because a lot of clients are migrating from Solr to other products. Then we have the expertise. For the expertise, is basically the same thing as the community, I guess, because it rhymes with how many people are using the product and how many people are willing to go and be experts using the product. The main thing about Elastic is they have their own expertise with their own employees. So they have the support engineers, and then they have the consulting engineers and the consulting architects that they can provide their consulting services if you want to. And then also they offer certification services, so they make other people be proficient at their products and basically be experts in it. OpenSearch, it's really hard to tell, but I think it's limited. So I do not see any job offerings out there for consulting. So I think there are not so many profiles like this. For the Solr expertise, it's shrinking as basically people are migrating from the product again. For the workforce, if you go ahead and ask LinkedIn how many people are working for Elastic, so this is the metric for Elastic, not just Elasticsearch, it's going to be something around 3,000 to 5,000 people. And then for AWS, we have 130,000. But it's really hard to tell how many people are working exactly on the OpenSearch project. But you can tell that the number of people here is so huge compared to Elastic. For Solr, there is no backing company officially, so there is no one working as a company for Solr. For the market cap, both Elastic and AWS are public traded companies, with Elastic having their market cap $12 billion. And they started being profitable the last year, so this is pretty much the metric. And then AWS goes without saying that they are evaluated at $2.4 trillion. So if there is a battle of ego here, you can already tell who's going to win. For the licensing system for the on-premise solutions, Elastic, they used to have 3 licensing systems, Gold, Platinum, and then Enterprise. Today they only have 2, the Platinum and then the Enterprise. OpenSearch, they have no support for the on-premise solutions. There is no licensing because they don't offer a lot of features on on-premise solutions. For the adoption, again, Elastic would stand out in this because they are used basically anywhere in the major banks, major companies out there. So any big company out there would have at least one cluster of Elastic. OpenSearch also has a big market because basically it is used by all the AWS cloud users, which is not a small market. They have basically 1/3 of all the cloud out there. And then it has a huge usage on the open source community. Solr, on the other hand, it was used mainly on the e-commerce sector, but again, it keeps shrinking because there are a lot of clients that are moving from their product to the other products. So here, if we wanted to sum up our comparison here, we wanted to guess who is the winner. We can say that Elasticsearch today is winning in terms of the community and the expertise out there and the features they offer, but OpenSearch is catching up basically based on their open source product. And if they decided that they want to invest more in the product, they may catch up for Elastic. So that was the first metric. Now let's go ahead and talk about the easiness to POC, or the easiness to create a proof of concept. So before talking about this, there is a precision we need to make here, is that Elastic or Elasticsearch and OpenSearch, they have the on-premise solution, but they also have the managed and the serverless solution. So for the on-premise solution, basically it means that using the product on-premise. So the 3 competitors use or support that kind of a deployment. But then when it comes to the managed solution and the serverless solution, Solr is out of the game. So the difference between the managed and the serverless is basically the difference between an EC2 in AWS and then a Lambda function. Here, you need to guess the capacity of your solution or of your deployment, and in the serverless you can just spin up a cluster or spin up a deployment, and you do not have to guess the capacity of or the sizing of your deployment beforehand. So we are going to compare these two cloud solutions. Basically, we are starting with serverless to see how they compare and how easy is it to spin up a POC. We're also going to talk about the free trials and which service offers the free trials. So since Solr is out of the game here, we are only going to compare Elasticsearch with OpenSearch. In order for me to compare the two solutions when it comes to creating a POC, we are going to use their cloud offering. So I have opened Elasticsearch Cloud on the left tab here, and then we have on the right tab, we have the AWS solution. So I'm gonna try to create an account on both of them just to show you how seamless their onboarding is, and then we can compare the experience between the two. So if you wonder how I ended up here, basically I just went ahead and clicked on the creating your account here on the cloud.elastic.co. I just clicked on sign up, and then you can see basically that they ask you just to provide your email and the password. You can also create an account or sign up using another identity provider like Google or Microsoft, and it will just send you a multiple factor code on your email, and then you can get here and then start creating your cluster. There is one thing that I wanted to precise here, which is that they are providing you with the 15 days trial, and you don't have to provide your credit card or debit card. And it also goes without saying that starting, I think they changed this recently. It used to be they provide you with the managed solution. So if I go back to here, they used to provide you with the possibility to create a managed solution from the beginning. Now they made it serverless by default, but they also give you the possibility to create a managed solution. We're gonna see how we can do this later on, and you can see that here. So now I'm just gonna provide my name here, and then click next. And here you have to Elastic. This is just a couple of questions that I think you are using for the statistics. And here you can see that for the serverless solution, they would basically ask you to choose one of these. So is it either Elasticsearch for search or observability or security. So I'm just gonna say it's gonna be Elasticsearch. They're just asking you to choose a region. I'm just gonna keep everything by default and continue. So here it says, is it general purpose or optimized for vectors? Since we are doing vector search, I'm just gonna go with optimized. So I'm gonna click on launch, and then we're gonna wait for this to spin up. On the other hand, I can show you how the AWS site looks like. So basically it goes without saying that in order for you to use their Amazon OpenSearch service, you will need to have an AWS account. And basically it means that you will have to provide your credit card or debit card. So there is a bit of risk here. If you screw up some parameters, you will end up being billed for what you are consuming. But there is something here which is the free tier. So they offer for the managed service, they offer a free tier for these two instances. And there is a bit of detail here that you need to pay attention to when you're creating this kind of a cluster. And then when it comes to serverless, I did not find any free tier option here. So it's not like Lambda, I believe, or I'm mistaken, but I don't think it is any free tier option for the serverless solutions. So here, basically, there's not an assistant like this that would allow you to start creating a project or watching a video like this. So the graphics are less cool on the AWS side, but you have this thing here that makes a difference between the managed clusters, or if I go back again on the presentation, this is for the managed and this is for the serverless. And you also have the possibility to create them from here. So there is a bit of thing that I wanted to precise here, which is I'm on the root account. And the reason why I'm stating this is when I try to use the serverless, namely when I tried to create in data policies, I'm going to see this in details later on, I could not access the cluster or the collection that I have created here directly from the root account. So I had to create another account, which is here. And then you can see that it's a different account here, so that I can click on the dashboard and access it. And I'm going to show you all this in detail. So while waiting for this to spin up, it's already here, but let's just start with the AWS here. I'm going to go and select serverless, and I will get started. Once I go here, you can see that I have an existing collection here. So basically, collection is just because we are dealing with serverless. So there is not a concept of cluster. There's only a concept of a couple of indices. So let's assume that a collection is a collection of indices. So we're gonna create a new collection. We're gonna say create collection, and here it asks us to provide a name. I'm gonna say test 2, and then you can provide a description, but that's not important right now. And here they are asking you to choose a collection type. So it's basically the same thing as what we have just seen with the Elastic, either if it's a time series, for example, for observability or security, or if you are doing the search or vector search. Here they are making a difference between traditional search, and I think here they are referring to the classical BM25 for the search algorithms, and then here we have the vector search. So we're going to go with the vector search here. And then we have the option to have redundancy for our data. Since we are only testing for this, we're just going to say no for this for time being. And here we have the option to either go with easy create or standard create. So if we go with easy create, there is this default message here that's saying that you cannot do this. So we're just going to go with standard create. So once we select the standard create, it gives us the possibility to choose, for example, the encryption, to either use the AWS provided encryption keys, or if you have your own keys, you can provide them here and use them. So we're just going to go with the AWS ones. And then here, there's an important thing. Either you want your cluster to be accessed by the internet or accessed from a VPC or from AWS. So as I said earlier in my presentation, anything in OpenSearch is basically friendly for the users of AWS Cloud. If you're not familiar with all these notions, it's really hard to get onboarded here. So I'm just going to go with public. And here you have the two options here for the resource type. Basically, they're asking you, would you want to have a user interface, which is what they call OpenSearch dashboards, which is the equivalent of Elasticsearch Kibana, or Elastic Kibana. And I'm going to say, yes, I want the two of them. So once we are done with this, we're just going to click on next. And then here you can see that they are asking us to configure the data access. So the data access basically is the equivalent of role mappings in Elastic. And here you can skip this to define it later on, or you can just define it right now. So I'm just going to do it right now. I'm going to name this role demo. And here they're asking you to provide the principal. So it's here where I had a problem. So I'm just going to go with users, and I'm going to use my test user here. And then save. And then I need to provide the permission. So basically I'm creating a role for this user, which is my other account that I have in here, which is this other account, which is not the root account, because the root account cannot access this. I don't know why, but this way. And they need to provide this user with the privileges on the data. So I'm just going to say select all. I don't know if I have missed anything. So I'm just going to say next for now. create new, I'm gonna say create new data. Okay, access policy. Set this 2, 3. I'm gonna say next. So basically everything is ready for me, and then you can see my user in here. I'm gonna click on submit. So now you can see that my cluster or my collection is getting created. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the other side to see what we have. So here on Elastic, once we are in the space here, they are already assisting us to create a new index and start putting the data in. So this is what I do. I'm just gonna follow what they ask for. So I'm just search, let's say create my index. So once the index is created, they are asking me to either choose keyword search, vector search, or semantic search. So I'm just gonna go ahead and choose vector search. Well, I'm gonna go with semantic because they are using their built-in Solr. So let me see if they explain this here. Close. See, there's no, I cannot click here. So I'm just gonna go select this, and then let me see what they are asking for. So I think I'm good. I'm gonna see. Okay, so basically they're offering this, and in order for us to create this semantic search index, you need to run this code. So because they know that there's a bit of friction between the user and them in this part here, they offer you the possibility to create to run this in the console. So let's see what they are doing here. So basically just creating a mapping for this the field called text. They give it the semantic text, and then they try to index these documents. So this is what we're going to do. Just gonna go ahead and then run in console, and then we can say next for the tour, because they provide kind of a tour here, which is not bad. Okay, they provided, okay, we're gonna say complete, close tour. I think we're good. Let me see. Okay, so we're gonna run everything that they provide us with here. So we're gonna run this command. So we have created the index here, then we're gonna go ahead and run this as well. And now we have the documents indexed. Let's see if we are all good here. So while waiting for the response for this query, we run index documents, we can switch back to the other account here on AWS, and then we can see if we have the second index. So you can see that we have the second one here, and then basically now if I click on dashboards, we are going to see that the OpenSearch thing opens. So here it's basic, but let's just say explore my own, just to show you what it looks like. So the common thing between Elasticsearch here and OpenSearch is they limit your access to the other features. So if you are running, for example, Elasticsearch or OpenSearch on premise, you will have all the other features activated here, like observability or security. But for the serverless, they are limiting you because there is a use case for each one of them. So here there is no guide, as you can see. It's not the same experience as Elastic Cloud. And basically you gotta do everything on your own. And if I go for DevTools, there is no big thing for me here. Dismiss. There is no big of a thing for me here. So if I go to discover, nothing is created. I need to add the data, etc. So I don't even know what I need to do with my vector search. And the thing is, or the reason is, if I go back to Amazon here, and then I open this, when I go to, so this is the collections. As I say, this is where you will see some kind of a collection of your indices. If I click on this, you will see that in order for me to create an index or a vector index, I need to do it from here, and not from the OpenSearch dashboard. So I need to do it from the outside. And the reason here is I need to click this. So they ask me to provide an index of a name for index, which is the same thing that we did in here. So I go to details, the same thing that we did in here, but we did everything from the Elasticsearch side or the Elastic side. So if I go back here, I'm just going to say test index. And here they are asking me to provide a vector fields. I'm just going to say, for example, the vector is going to be text. And here they are asking a couple of questions about how we are going to map our vector fields. So just gonna keep the default one, face, and then for the precision, basically they're asking how much you want to save in memory, how many data points for the vector you want to save in memory. So if you go with binary, it saves less data. So I'm just gonna go here, dimension. I'm just gonna put 1000, etc. So you can just click on confirm. Everything is optional, and then I'm gonna say create. Okay, so basically the index is created. So if I go here, discover, and then go on details, let's see, nothing goes here. You can see that I have the index now here. So I'm gonna take this just to see how it is mapped. So we can see basically that this translates what we have done here. So it created a field called type with all the things that we have indicated here. But again, I don't see anything that has to do with the machine learning algorithm that they are using in order for me to vectorize the data. So basically what they are assuming here, so I've been trying to find where I can deploy my machine learning model, but I could not find it here. So basically what happens in here is we have created the index, we have created the fields, but it's up for you to send in the embeddings for each document that you want to index, which differs here. If I go back to Elastic, I'm gonna try to see if my documents were indexed. This is my index here. Cool. So now what I will do, I'm gonna go back, or I'm gonna go to Discover to see if this document have any embeddings. They do not have any embeddings for some reason. So in fact, there are no embeddings in here, and the reason is we did not configure any inference rate endpoints. The good news is that Elastic, they provide you with already deployed and trained models. So they have their Solr model, which is a unilingual English model, and then you have the multilingual that supports all the other languages and the images, etc. And then you have also, so if I go back to index management here and I click on create index, I'm just gonna put this, create my index. If I select the vector search here, you can see that this will allow me to create what we call a dense vector basically. And here what they are doing is they're providing you examples with the vectors directly. So if I run this again here, running console, and then I run this, you can see that the parameters changes here, and once the indexing is done, then I can go to discover, and then I can see that now we have this kind of these messages now, or these documents that have the vector representation. So it is good for the creation of indices, but I think there should be a bit of precision when it comes, for example, if I go back to index management and I create indices here, I think there needs to be a bit of details about this part here, so that they can show you how you can attach an inference endpoint. But let's just assume that everything is good and quite better than AWS for now. And you also have the possibility to have the playground. So you can see that now we have added the data. Then we have the possibility to directly use this in a RAG system. So all that we are missing now, we can just add the connector, and then you can see here, you can add, for example, this is Gemini, but I can add an OpenAI system here. And basically I can start I can select, for example, my source of data here. You can see that I've created a couple of indices, so I can select this one, save and continue, and I can connect my LLM and start playing, asking questions about my data. And then once I'm done with this, basically I can just go ahead and copy the Python code here. So this is a good thing because they are showing you exactly how you can use a RAG system. They are assuming basically that you are going to use the vector database for RAG systems, which is the most of cases here. And the other thing that I liked about this is they provide you with the inference endpoints or models that are ready for use, basically. We're not going to cover this in this video, but it looks good up until now. And as I said, there is no bill in here, so we're not paying anything for it. If we go back to AWS here, you can see that again we have the managed clusters and the serverless clusters, and you can see now that if I try to open, I'm gonna refresh this, so you can see that I have the dashboard now for this one. If I try to create it, you can see that I'm not authorized because I'm in the root account. But so let's go back to the other account here. So you can see that I have created my index here. I have created my field that is a vector field or vector friendly field. But I need to create the embeddings elsewhere. So Amazon or AWS provides you with a lot of functionalities out there, a lot of models, but they're not here, they're not supported here. And if we go to export the data, you need to create everything from scratch, basically. So it's not guided here, and that's basically it. So if I go back to AWS here, as I mentioned, we have the managed clusters, and then we have the serverless clusters. Now that we have created this serverless and we have discovered this part, we can try and go ahead and see what they offer in the managed clusters. So if I go here, I can go to dashboard, and then you can see they have already created one here. So I'm just going to get another one. I'm going to say test whatever. And then basically once you start creating your cluster here, before comparing these two, if we go to the engine options, you can see that they give you the possibility to choose OpenSearch versions, and then your public access history that you can access from the internet. But if you do not pay attention of what you're doing here, you will end up choosing this instant type, which is not free. As I mentioned here, the only free instances are the TT small and the T3 small search. So what you need to do, you need to select the standard create so that you can customize your instance here. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to standard create, then go to development and test. Let's go with domain without standby. This is going to allow me to choose only 2 availability zones. But you can see I'm always on the R7G large For the engine options, once I have chosen custom, you can see that I can also choose the Elastic version 7.10, which is weird. And then here I can now control the instance type that I'm choosing. So I'm just go all the way to the bottom. Just gonna go with T3 small. Weirdly, we no longer have the T2 for some reason. Then I'm just gonna go with 2 nodes of data, and then here I'm gonna go with the minimum, which is 10 gigas of, and then I think we are good. We're not gonna go with any warm data. And then here for the network, you can choose public access, and then once you choose the public access, you need to choose this part here, which is fine-grained access. So once you do this, you can create a master password for your cluster, and that's pretty much it. So you can click on this one. I'm gonna go ahead and create a master password. I think I lost the, and go ahead and say admin, and here I thought actually in a simple password, so I'm gonna provide a stronger one, and here I'm just gonna confirm my password. Oops, it's not much it. Let me think I missed this one. Oops, again. I'm good, and I'm gonna hit create. So everything looks for me good. So while we are waiting for this to be created, we're gonna go ahead and go back to Elastic. So here you can see that I'm now on the serverless search thing. I'm gonna go back to the organization tab and click on this one, and this will take me to the management of my cluster. So I'm gonna go with this one. I'm just gonna go on cloud here, and then you can see that my deployment was under the serverless project, and here I have the possibility to create a deployment, and then you can see I did not provide any credit card, and they still can do this. The only strange thing that I found here is that they used to provide you with the possibility to have a cluster that supports the 3 of them. Now, even in managed clusters, they ask you to choose one of the 3 options. So this time I'm just gonna go with this observability option. And then you can see here that because it's a managed, they would ask you to select the options for your managed clusters. So you need to size your cluster now. I'm just gonna go with the default settings. You can see that you can choose your cloud provider. I'm gonna go ahead and test. And then that's pretty much it. Then click on create. The AWS cluster is still creating here. It took some time for the cluster, the managed one, to spin up here to get ready, while for the AWS one or the OpenSearch one is still provisioning and out. So we're gonna go ahead and click continue to see what they are offering here, if it's any different than what it used to be. So quite okay, so exactly what I have expected. So they no longer offer you the possibility to see the other services like SIEM security or any other services. Basically, because I have selected observability, it just offered me the possibility to see all the features that come with observability. We're not going to go into the details of this because this is a video about vector search. So, but it's worth mentioning that it is possible to create these deployments using the free tier. So if I go back to my profile here, my free account, you can see that I have a hosted deployment, which is this one, which is healthy, and then I have this other one, which is serverless. And here you can see that since we are talking about a cluster, it is healthy, and we are talking about this kind of notions here. For the serverless project, you can see there is no thing like the status or the version, because it uses basically the latest things, and it is serverless. This is everything that I think we can compare here. I think Elastic, they made a great job at their marketing stuff here, and their UI looks great in general. The good thing is you can also just delete this deployment or delete this project. Elastic, this is too long to type. Let's see if we can copy it. We can, yes, delete it. And then we can basically create a new project and choose another thing. We can choose, for example, Elastic for security. Yes, and then we can create a new project. Let's see how much time it's going to take, knowing that it is based off of AWS and why AWS is taking so much time here to spin up. We're not going to wait for this. We already have a domain created here. So let's see if you can access it from the other user account. Mistaken here. Okay, let's see if we can access it. Not looking good. I think we can access the service here. And let's see. Okay, so we already have. I think I got logged out. No, hold on. I think I'm on that. Okay, this is still creating the project. Let's see this one. Let's try the password. So I was able to access it here, and then you can see that for the OpenSearch, they kept basically everything the same thing as it used to be when it comes to the manage option. You can see that here we have the observability, the plugins, the management, and then you have the search here, dashboards. So did not change a lot of things. But as you can see, we're waiting for this to see. Let me see. Okay, I think we have the project also on Elastic spinned up very quickly. And then you can see here that everything would change. So if you remember how the vector or how the search serverless thing looked like, it is very different. And then here you can see that there is no like an assistant that would push you to create an index and things like this, because this is a different use case. So that's pretty much it for the comparison. So we can see that here you have so for AWS you have the managed clusters and the serverless, and the thing here they call it domains. So domain is basically a cluster that you are creating. And then for the serverless, you have the equivalent of a cluster. In serverless, it is a collection. The experience was there was a bit of friction here, and there is also the fact that you do not have models that are deployed for you and ready for use. On the other side, for Elastic, the experience was, I think, better in terms of the graphics and in terms of the being guided through the steps that you need to take. There is a bit of missing information when it comes to how you can use the models that are deployed there. And this is, but I think you can find this in other videos out there. So if you want to sum up what we have just seen in terms of the comparison between Elasticsearch and OpenSearch when it comes to the easiness to park, we can say that Elasticsearch provides a better experience and a better incentive to use their product, namely with the free trial and then the possibility to, or the guidance that they give you when you are just onboarding. They have a great UI as well. OpenSearch, they may have a great product behind the scenes, but their UI is not quite there yet, and the onboarding experience there might be a bit of a friction. And the free trial is also a good thing to provide the users with. So this was then the second metric, or the second comparison, and we're gonna carry on with the others on the second part of this video.